and a 4x to the third over here. So we have a 6x to the third. Then we have a 12x squared and a minus 2x squared. So we get a 10x squared. And then we have a minus 15x and a minus 12x, so that's minus 27x. And this plus 15 is down here, so we put plus 15. And then this whole giant thing is our answer. Once you have all the terms combined, you know that you needed 5. If you remember from the beginning, we had 5 roots, so we needed an x to the 5th, and we get this whole long problem. Okay, let's try one more together. Let's go ahead and do B. First, we need to list all of the roots that we have. So since we have a 2i, that is a plus 2i, so we have the positive 2i. But then we also have the negative 2i. We need the conjugate of it. We have a 1 plus the square root of 2. So then we also have a 1 minus the square root of 2. And then 3 is just 3. Okay, remember, if you've got the imaginaries or the square roots, you need the plus and the minus of them. Okay, now we need to plug them in to their factors. So we have an x minus 2i for that first one. Always do the opposites. This is an x plus 2i. This will be x minus 1 plus the square root of 2. And again, x minus 1 minus the square root of 2. And we have an x minus 3. Always going with the opposites. Now we can do some distributing. So I'll just start with these first two. So do x times x, we get x squared. X times 2i is plus 2i x. Minus 2i times x is minus 2i x. And minus 2i times a positive 2i will be minus 4i squared. Okay, let's simplify this before we try to multiply anything else. So we have an x squared, so we'll just bring that down. We have a plus 2ix minus 2ix, so those cancel each other out. Over here we need to remember that I squared really is just negative 1. So we have a negative 4 times a negative 1, so we get plus 4. Those first two pieces then are gone. Let me bring down the rest of the problem. Oops, that's not a plus, that should be a minus. So we have x minus 1 plus the square root of 2. We have x minus 1 minus the square root of 2. And we have x minus 3. All right, now let's do these two. Since they are alike, they both have that square root in there. So let's combine those two. We'll come back to the x squared plus 4 and the x minus 3. So remember from the last problem, we have to distribute this negative first to both of these. So we get an x minus 1 minus the square root of 2. And for the second one, we get an x minus 1 plus the square root of 2. Since it was the negative, negative times the negative gives us a positive. Now we can do our distributing. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. X times the square root of 2 is the square root, plus square root of 2x. Now I need to do negative 1. So negative 1 times x is a negative x. Negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. And negative 1 times the square root of 2 is a negative square root of 2. Now distribute the square root of 2. So we have a negative square root of 2 times x. We have a negative square root of 2 x. Negative square root of 2 times negative 1 is a positive square root of 2. And negative square root of 2 times a positive square root of 2 is a negative square root of 2 squared. Now we need to combine our like terms. So x squared is all by itself, so we'll just put an x squared down here. Then we have a negative x and a negative x, so that gives us a negative 2x. We have a positive square root of 2x and a negative square root of 2x, so those will cancel. I'll come back to the 1. We have a negative square root of 2 and a positive square root of 2, so those cancel. Let's go down here. So this is minus, but we know that the square root of 2 squared is just 2. So we have a positive 1 from over here, minus 2, so we get a minus 1. So all of that ended up being x squared minus 2x minus 1. Let's move down, get a little bit more space here. So we have this x squared minus 2x minus 1. And I'm going to bring down the other pieces from up here. We still have this x squared plus 4, and we still have this x minus 3. So we have the x squared plus 4 and x minus 3. We need to pick 2 more and distribute. So I'm just going to pick these last 2. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do it this way. You could pick the first 2. You could pick the first one and the last one, whichever you prefer. So if I do these 2, I'm going to do x squared times x, which is x to the 3rd, and x squared times negative 3, which is negative 3x squared. Then I will do 4 times x, which is 4x, and 4 times negative 3, which is negative 12. Those are all good. We can't combine anything, so let's bring this other one down, the x squared minus 2x minus 1. Now we have to distribute this one, so we get the nice long one here. So x squared times x to the 3rd is x to the 5th. X squared times negative 3x squared is negative 3x to the 4th. X squared times 4x is a positive 4x to the 3rd. And then x squared times negative 12 is negative 12x squared. Now give the 2x to everything, the minus 2x. So negative 2x times x to the 3rd is negative 2x to the 4th. Negative 2x times negative 3x squared is a positive 6x to the 3rd. Negative 2x times a positive 4x is a negative 8x squared. And then negative 2x times a negative 12 is a positive 24x. Scoot over so we can do the 12. So then we need to do the negative 1. So we need to give negative 1 to every piece over here. I'm going to have to do this on the second row. I just don't have room. So we have negative 1 times x to the 3rd. So we have a negative x to the 3rd. Negative 1 times negative 3x squared is a positive 3x squared. Negative 1 times 4x is negative 4x. And negative 1 times negative 12 is a positive 12. Then with all of those pieces, we need to combine our like terms and we will be finished. So x to the 5th is all by itself. So we'll just put an x to the 5th. That one's done. We did that. Now we have a minus 3x to the 4th. And we have a minus 2x to the 4th. So we get a minus 5x to the 4th. We have a positive 4x to the 3rd, a positive 6x to the third, and a negative x to the third. So the positive 4 and the positive 6 give us a 10. And then we have a negative 1. So we have a positive 9 x to the third. Then next we have a negative 12x squared, a negative 8x squared, and a positive 3x squared. So negative 12 and negative 8 will combine to get negative 20. Then we have to plus 3, so we have a negative 17x squared. Then we're down here at the plus 24x minus 4x. So we get a plus 20x, 24 minus 4. And then the plus 12 just goes on the end. And that is your final answer. Okay, that's it. We are finished with the notes, so please look back at the sheet that's in eBackpack and complete the assignment listed there.